Ukraine entering its 5th year of war, and already today there has been a minute's silence. People get an alert on their phone here in Ukraine, and the country tries, if it can, to take that minute, that moment, to just remember those that have died. Lots of dignitaries arriving here in the capital for commemorations that are taking place across the day. Prime ministers, presidents from across Europe in particular are here to stand with President Zelensky and all of Ukraine. But we did also see continuing Russian airstrikes across the country. In the city of Zaporizhia, we know that 5 people, including a child, were injured. Several big multi-story buildings were damaged. They're used to this in Zaporizhia. There are drone strikes there all of the time. But just a reminder that this war does continue despite this very solemn day for people here in Ukraine. We have some pictures just to show you just of Kyiv this morning. Lots of the city is in lockdown. Really difficult for us to move around the city this morning because of all the dignitaries that are here and the things that are taking place. But people are also out as well, visiting some of the memorial sites, paying their respects as well. But you can see this is just a street scene on a very cold day again here in Kyiv, although it is warmer than it has been, and that is a relief for many. Although the streets are a little bit difficult to get around too because that snow turning to slush, as you can see. But just people moving around the city in Kyiv this morning. A very, very poignant moment today as well in Bucha, where we saw people visiting the local cemetery. You may remember that name, Bucha. There were victims in the cemetery of the Russian occupation where people are buried there. That's where a massacre took place. And throughout the day, we know that President Zelensky and others are going to be here, as I mentioned. Let's have a listen to President Zelensky, who addressed the nation this morning.
Я дуже хочу одного дня прийти сюди.
One day I want to come here with the President of the United States. I know for certain, only by coming to Ukraine and seeing with one's own eyes our life and our struggle, feeling our people and the enormity of this pain, only then can one understand what this war is really about. And it's because of who the aggressor is here and who must be pressured that Ukraine defends life and fights precisely for this. And that this is not a street fight. It is an attack by a sick state on a sovereign one. And this is Putin's war. He is the cause of its beginning and the obstacle to its end. And it is Russia that must be put in its place so that there can be real peace.
Let's take you live now to my colleague Paul Adams. He's in Bucha, which is east of here, which was occupied by Russian troops near the start of the war. A trail of death and destruction there, which shocked the world at the time and continues to. Paul, what's been happening there today?
Yeah, you're right, Lucy. This was really the first place where the nature of the Russian invasion became truly apparent. The Russians were only here for a few weeks. They landed at an airbase just 2 or 3 miles north of here on this day 4 years ago. They quickly captured Bucha. The troops occupied Bucha for just a matter of weeks before being pushed out again by the Ukrainians. And in the immediate aftermath of that, the world was horrified by the images that we saw. Bodies of civilians left lying in the street and a mass grave that was unearthed a short time afterwards. It's not for nothing that President Zelensky, in his list of places associated with tragedy, listed Bucha first in his speech this morning. We had a service just a half an hour or so ago here at a cemetery. This is a cemetery devoted to the military. These are all people who died either in the course of the defense and recapture of Bucha, or actually for the most part in the long 4 years since. There was a group of people, not huge, but people who came here and laid flowers at the graves of many, many soldiers who are lying here. This is a very typical place. There are places like this all over Ukraine. The faces of the fallen stare out at you from these granite headstones, and of course lots of Ukrainian flags. A small snapshot of the enormous cost paid in human lives over the course of the last 4 years.
Paul, thank you. Paul Adams and Bucha, who'll be joining us again throughout the day. Well, inside Russia, none of Russia's main television channels this morning mentioned the anniversary in their news bulletin. They continue to just air news stories that talk about Russian successes. And remember, they don't call this a war, they call this a special military operation. But if we can take you to the newsroom in London now, I'm joined by Ben Steele. Now, Ben is the director of The Zero Line Inside Russia's War, which is a remarkable film about Russian soldiers who actually managed to flee the front line of the war. Ben, an incredible documentary that you've made. Tell us about some of the stories you heard and what the soldiers told you.
Well, we met with 4 soldiers who were serving on the Russian front lines, including an officer and the most senior staff officer to ever speak out, we believe, against the war and explain the lawlessness that's happening on the Russian front lines. It's very hard for us to understand just the scale of lawlessness that's happening there. Russian soldiers are being sent forward in waves to attack Ukrainian forces. Without much motivation. And so what the Russian soldiers are telling us is they're telling us about executions and torture that Russian commanders are using against their own men to force them forwards.
Ben, how many Russian soldiers do we know are being killed every day on the front line?
Well, the UK MOD estimates that between 900 and 1,500 Russian soldiers are being killed or wounded every day in fighting. Russian soldiers, the slang that's used to refer to these assaults is meat storms, where men are just thrown forwards, and it's literally clambering over the bodies at times of their comrades in order to advance. And the stories that we've heard and that we've been able to substantiate is that there are specific commanders who, as I mentioned earlier, are torturing and executing their men. So we have completely comprehensive accounts of commanders shooting men point blank who refuse orders, and commanders ordering others to execute Russian soldiers who fail to comply with their commands.
And Ben, just to remind people, these are soldiers who are trapped there on the front line. Are they able to communicate with their families? I mean, they're definitely not able to leave, right, once they're there?
That's right. So the men we spoke with, some of them were mobilised. One of them volunteered initially under false pretences. He believed he was going to be a truck driver. One of them was a senior staff officer, so was already in the military. But these men getting away from the front lines, once they discover the horror and the brutality of the fighting and the way in which they're being treated, just going forwards in these meat storms, it is, of course, very, very difficult to get out of the situation they're in. One of the men we spoke with, a man called Ilya, was mobilised in 2024 with a group of 79 soldiers from his hometown. His job was to identify and to count the dead. And we've seen the paperwork and the documentation, and he believes that he is the sole survivor of that group of 79 men, with the others all killed in action.
Ben, so much of what you're saying and the testimony that you've gathered will really shock people when they hear these stories. But of everything that you heard from these soldiers, what is the one thing that you found most confrontational, most challenging, most shocking?
Well, I guess from a perspective as being an outsider coming to this, it's just completely breathtaking to realise the way in which Russian soldiers are being treated by their commanders, the way in which they're being treated like meat, that the total lack of value of human life, that what's so obviously important for commanders is that they achieve the aims that they've been set, and this goes all the way to the top, this goes all the way to Putin, that they must simply advance, that is all that matters, that men are just thrown forwards on a daily basis, relentlessly trying to wear down the Ukrainian opponent. And one of the men said to us very clearly, look, the opponent is in front of us, but the enemy is our commander behind us.
Yeah, really remarkable documentary that you've made, Ben. Thank you. Ben Steele, director of The Zero Line Inside Russia's War. One of the things we've been reporting on a lot over the winter on the BBC is just how cold it's been. When you arrive here, people tell you that they haven't experienced a winter like this for many, many years. The last few winters were quite a lot more mild. And of course, President Putin has been targeting infrastructure here in a big way. And that's left a lot of people without heat, without electricity over these winter months. So restoring that is crucial just for everyday life here. Let's talk now to Maxim Timchenko, who is head of DTEK, which is Ukraine's largest private energy company. Maxim, thank you for joining us. What a winter you've had. How challenging has it been?
Yeah, it was the worst winter we've ever seen in Ukraine, and it's not because of such a weather, because of such a destruction by Russians, destruction of everything. Power stations, transmission lines, substations, bringing our people living in the temperature +6, 7 in their apartments. This is what I can call only one word: energy terror. And this is what was happening in Kyiv this week.
I mean, Maxim, we've heard stories of, little old ladies, pensioners, who have been stuck in their apartments, absolutely freezing, sometimes not able to get out because the icicles around the door were too hard, incredibly cold. I mean, the stories from the winter are really heartbreaking.
And the stories of our colleagues on 1st of February, because of Russian drone attacks, we lost 12 people in one attack, 12 coal miners, just going home after their shift, just having nothing related to military. And this is the face of Russians. So they brought all the sufferings to us during this winter because they've not succeeded on military front line. They wanted to take Kyiv for 3 days, in 3 days, and 4 days they have no any success, any serious success on military front line, and they focus now on destruction of our life, civil infrastructure.
So Maxim, when a power station is hit, what happens then? How quickly can your teams get into action? What do you need to do to get things up and running again?
You can imagine that for the last 2 months, in average, each of power stations were hit by or attacked by 150 drones and 30 missiles, ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, all types. None of air defense system can protect power station out of such an intensive attack. And of course, we do everything possible to recover as soon as possible. But if you get Iskander, hit your power station, you lose immediately 30% of capacity, but and it's very difficult to
You've
recover.
got quicker, right? Your teams are so entrepreneurial. You must have learned a lot over these past few months.
I think none of energy system of the world had such an experience and destruction as we have it. And creativity and bravery of our people make it possible that now we have lights in our apartments, because we recover, finding different ways, different technological solutions for that. We have 30 black starts of our power station. I think that if you take England, then if black start once, it's extraordinary event in the whole year. In our case, it's part of our life now. And of course, we need to find solutions. We traveling through Europe to find equipment and bring to Ukraine from dismantled, decommissioned coal power station. We bring in transformers from one to other power station in Ukraine and connect it in 3 days instead of 3 months as it usually takes. So this is the way how we deliver our mission.
And what do you need, Maxim, from the rest of the world? Do you need help? Do you need equipment? Money?
Number one, the world should realize that this is energy terror in the center of Europe and react properly on this. People should know what is happening in Kyiv over the last 3 months and react properly. I cannot understand how the whole world cannot stop one man not bringing such suffering to our people. Of course, we need support in air defense. We need to protect what's still operational and what we recovering now. We need more used and new equipment. We need to place order now, and we need to start preparation for the next winter. If we become stronger, then there is I hope that we'll know so much intention of Russians to attack us again.
Maxim, good luck. It's getting warmer, but it's going to be a difficult summer, I'm sure, as well. Thank you very much for joining us here on BBC News. We do have some live pictures coming to us from Moscow at the moment that we can show you. And just to remind you what we're hearing from the Russian capital this morning, we've got reports from the pro-Kremlin morning newspapers. The editions are very silent on this anniversary today. None of Russia's main television channels mentioning the anniversary in their bulletins either. Just continuing to air what they call successes in the special military operation. And we have some breaking news to bring you now, actually, as well. We have a statement from the UK government to remind you Keir Starmer is here in Kyiv today. We're expecting to hear from him. He is a key member of the Coalition of the Willing, of course. But we have just had a statement from the government that says the UK has now sanctioned over 3,000 individuals, businesses and ships under its Russian regime. The Foreign Secretary, Yvette Cooper, she is also here in Kyiv today. She is also announcing a new package of military, humanitarian and reconstruction support for Ukraine. I imagine we will see this from quite a few of the world leaders who are gathered here in Kyiv today, just reiterating their support, but also new packages of military and financial support too. But the UK sanctioning over 3,000 individuals, businesses and ships under its Russian regime.